Hey everyone, I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day. And today, we're doing What If Deku Had the Kamui Part 2. Yeah, this What If is going to be the second part of What If Deku Had the Kamui. And, this is like one of the biggest videos that happened after I came back. So, I'm kind of excited to do this part. And in the comment sections, I saw two amazing ideas, and one of them being the jutsu and another thing to do with the Kamui, and I think I have a pretty good idea what I'm gonna do. Other than that, let's get started with the video.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
So we're gonna start off this What If where we left off. Where we left off is where Izuku and Bakugo were walking home from school. As they were walking under a bridge, they feel an ominous figure behind them. As they turn around, they notice a sludge villain, as the sludge villain tells them that he's going to be taking one of their bodies. As he immediately rushes toward Bakugo, but Bakugo uses his explosions and jumps all the way back. As the sludge villain tries to attack Izuku, but Izuku just dodges all of his advances and gets near Bakugo. As Bakugo tells Izuku that he doesn't know how they're supposed to fight this, but Izuku tells Bakugo that he has a plan and he has a special attack. As Bakugo is completely confused, but Izuku goes on telling him that he needs to charge it up and that he needs to wait and then he needs to distract the sludge villain. As Bakugo immediately rushes in, attacking the sludge villain as he blinds the sludge villain, as Izuku charges up his Chidori and immediately rushes in at blitzing speeds, cutting the sludge villain in half and also frying him with the electricity. And the reason why he has the Chidori is because, he's been training with Kakashi and Obito, and I told you guys to pick a jutsu, and I saw a lot of Chidoris in the comment section, so we're going with the Chidori. And another thing is, I also picked one more thing from the comment section, which I thought was an amazing idea. So we're going to be doing that idea as well, but let's just continue on with the what if. So, after Izuku and Bakugo completely bodied the sludge villain, bodied him, he's on the ground, basically dead, he's like half dead, my god, Izuku went crazy on this one, and he's on the ground as All Might arrives, but Izuku right then and there passes out because of all the chakra drain using the Chidori, since Izuku doesn't have that much chakra. And when Izuku wakes up again, the last thing that he heard before he passed out was, "I'm here," as this reminded him of All Might, but he didn't know if it was him or not. As he wakes up again, he sees both All Might and Bakugo looking over him to see if he's alright. As Izuku wakes up, he finally notices All Might, and he doesn't fanboy out, but he gets pretty excited. And both Bakugo and Izuku start talking to All Might, and All Might signs Izuku's book. But since both of them are talking to All Might, and All Might's losing time, a bunch of steam starts to come off of All Might, and All Might says that he's gotta go. And both Izuku and Bakugo are kind of suspicious, as they both nod to each other and immediately jump up, grabbing onto All Might's foot or leg, as they're completely confused why he's losing steam. As All Might finally notices them, seeing that he's not that high in the air, as he lands on the rooftop and starts scolding both Izuku and Bakugo. But then Bakugo interrupts and tells All Might to shut up and that they know that he's an imposter, as Bakugo's about to rush All Might, but All Might immediately transforms into his skinny form, or skeleton form, as both Bakugo and Izuku are completely confused as Bakugo stops in his tracks. Then All Might sits down due to exhaustion and starts to explain to Izuku and Bakugo that he has a time limit now and how much he can use his quirk due to his injury, as both Izuku and Bakugo understand and tell All Might that they believe him for now. As all of a sudden they see a huge explosion coming from the building, as they're completely confused what's going on, as they realize that it could be the sludge villain, as Bakugo immediately jumps off the building and starts flying toward the explosion. As Izuku helps All Might up and tells All Might that he's gonna go with Bakugo, as he immediately jumps off the building and starts running, as All Might's completely confused what Izuku's quirk is, since he seems completely fine, thinking that Izuku's quirk was a Chidori. As Izuku and Bakugo get there, they notice a sludge villain attacking civilians and keeping a few civilians hostages. As Izuku's completely confused, since he thought that All Might got the sludge villain in his bottle. But then Izuku realizes that when he got on to All Might's leg, the sludge villain must have dropped off of the bottle and must have escaped. As Izuku slaps his head and tells Bakugo this, as Bakugo's like, we gotta save the people. As both Izuku and Bakugo rush in, as Izuku tells Bakugo that if he gets the hostages away, he can use his ability to get rid of the sludge villain. As Bakugo immediately rushes in, trying to save the hostages. As he gets rid of the hostages, Izuku yells Kamui and immediately teleports the sludge villain away. As Izuku's a bit lightheaded since he used a Kamui and he still used a bunch of his chakra. So Izuku tells Bakugo that he's a bit tired, but both Izuku and Bakugo still help the civilians out. And as the police and, the heroes arrive, they were kind of ashamed of themselves since 2 middle school kids took care of a villain that they couldn't. As they start to scold Bakugo and Izuku, telling them that it was pretty dangerous, but they also congratulated them, telling them that they did a decent job in saving these people, and they have a good future in becoming a hero. But when All Might arrives, he sees what both Izuku and Bakugo did, saving those hostages, and also not causing a lot of collateral damage. He's kind of proud of both of them, as he finally feels like he has 2 good candidates to inherit One for All. As All Might confronts both Izuku and Bakugo while they were walking home in his buff form, as he immediately yells, "I'm here!" as he immediately spits out blood and turns back into his skeleton form. As he starts to explain to Izuku and Bakugo that he's looking for an inheritor for his quirk. As both Bakugo and Izuku are completely confused since, you can't inherit quirks, as Izuku starts muttering to himself, as Bakugo hits Izuku on the head, telling him to stop muttering right in front of All Might. As Izuku catches himself and starts to explain to All Might that it's not possible, as All Might starts to explain to Izuku what One for All is, as both Izuku and Bakugo are completely surprised by this quirk. But after Izuku listens to what All Might has to say and him calling him a nominee for, One for All, he decides that he doesn't want One for All and that he wants to get stronger in his own. Seeing that he's quirkless but has this cool ability in where he can teleport people and things to this dimension, he thinks he has enough power to settle himself. As he also has 2 mentors which help him. As Deku decides that he doesn't want One for All and he doesn't need anyone else's power to get stronger, except for Obito and Kakashi's. As Deku declines One for All, but as All Might looks at Bakugo, Bakugo also wants to decline it and refuse One for All as well, since he wants to get stronger with his own quirk. But seeing how powerful Deku is, and seeing that All Might's offering him a quirk and inheriting this power, he wants to be part of something. He wants to be more as well, like Izuku. So he decides that he's gonna be the successor to One for All, as he tells All Might that he's gonna accept One for All and be the next successor. As All Might gets happy and tells the both of them to meet him at the beach tomorrow. As Izuku's completely confused, as he asks All Might why he needs to be there as well. As All Might explains to Izuku, telling him that even though he's not going to be the successor for One for All, he was still a nominee, and training from the #1 hero is going to increase his abilities and basically make him a better hero a lot more than he is right now. As Izuku can't argue with this point and goes to the beach the next day. But when Izuku goes to bed that same night, he goes to the Kamui dimension and starts to explain everything to Obito and Kakashi. As both Obito and Kakashi sigh, telling Izuku that their time is probably going to come to an end. As Izuku's completely confused what they're talking about. As they start to explain Izuku's Kamui, telling him that his Kamui is completely different from theirs, since his Kamui transports him to his own mind, or his dimension, or basically his mindscape. Since they explained the Kamui and how it looked to, how their Kamui looked to Izuku, Izuku imagined the Kamui dimension like this, as it's pretty similar to theirs, but not exactly, since this Kamui dimension regenerates and always grows back, and can be shaped to Izuku's mind. As Obito says, well, they have to go now, and they'll meet him sometime soon, sometime later, as Izuku's completely confused since his mentors are just leaving him. As Izuku starts crying, as Obito hugs him and tells him that they'll meet him soon, as Obito and Kakashi wave goodbye and dissipate. But Obito, as a last parting gift, he drops the scroll as he makes a shush sign and leaves. As Izuku immediately rushes toward the scroll and grabs it. As he opens it, he notices Obito's handwriting as he starts to read it, as it says that his Kamui has many capabilities, and it has this time chamber type ability where time runs differently. Even though he doesn't gain the experience always when he always comes back to the real world, he always gains some type of experience, and also the time is just a big advantage. As he also lists a few techniques that he could probably use with his Kamui, as it's the Kamui Chakra chakra shurikens and the Kamui domain expansion. As he reads more, he sees Kakashi's handwriting and notices it's some taijutsu skills and some jutsus that he can learn. As Izuku's completely excited since these new techniques are going to help him a lot. So now I'm going to explain these two techniques. First of all, the Kamui chakra shurikens. The person who came up with this in the comments section, you're freaking insane, my guy. This is like a perfect technique for him right now. Okay, so basically what I imagine the Kamui chakra shurikens being is, the shurikens are going to be made out of solid chakra, and he can basically use it like the flying Raijin, and he's going to throw them, and it would teleport into the Kamui world, and he can teleport to the Kamui world and basically blitz around this person and basically completely destroy them. And next, we have the Kamui domain expansion, okay? We're making him Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen, basically. He's basically going to be able to do the basically domain expansion, since he can change the Kamui world depending on his mind. He can basically use the Kamui world to attack this person in some way or form. And if you guys want me to add anything more, just write it down in the comment section. I'm always reading those things and, you know, getting destroyed by your roasts. But other than that, let's get right back to the what if. So the next day, Izuku goes to the beach where All Might told him to come. As he gets there, he sees both Bakugo and All Might sparring each other already. As Bakugo is fighting All Might, and All Might is completely destroying Bakugo as he's completely bodying him. As All Might tells Izuku that they were fighting each other to see how far they were already. As All Might's kind of impressed with Bakugo, seeing how strong he is already with his explosions. But Bakugo tells All Might that Izuku's way stronger than him, as All Might starts to get curious in how strong Izuku really is. But then All Might goes to a different part of the beach, telling both Izuku and Bakugo to follow him. As they get there, they notice two huge piles of trash. As All Might starts to explain to both of them that they're gonna have to get rid of all this junk behind him. As both of them are kind of stunned, but you know, they're not too surprised since they can just use their quirks. But then All Might tells them that they're not going to be using their quirks, as both of them are completely stunned. And for the next few months, they get rid of all the trash. And Izuku and Bakugo have also been training on their own as well, as they've just been sparring with each other. As Bakugo increases the power of his explosions and how far he can, you know, use it. And Izuku also increased the amount of Kamuis he can use, and also, you know, increasing his arsenal with taijutsu, as he also teaches Bakugo some taijutsu as well. As All Might finally feels like Bakugo is ready to inherit his power, he picks out a bit of his hair and tells Bakugo to eat it. As Izuku immediately starts laughing and giggling to himself, as Bakugo tells Izuku to shut up, as Bakugo immediately grabs a piece of hair and eats it. As he swallows it down, as Izuku is just like laughing his head off, and he's just keeps on laughing as Bakugo tells Izuku to shut up again. But then Izuku notices a sudden shift of power change in Bakugo as he sees the amount of power that Bakugo just gained, as he can feel the amount of pressure coming from Bakugo. As it's also really similar to All Might's. And after a few hours after Bakugo officially gained his new quirk, Izuku asks Bakugo if they could spar, and Bakugo, not being the type to turn down a fight, he immediately, accepts this, and they get ready, as Bakugo tells Izuku that he could probably beat him now since he gained this new quirk. As Izuku laughs, telling Bakugo that he gained a new few abilities as well, as both of them rush at each other as Izuku yells, "Kamui domain expansion." Not in the same voice, but pretty similar. And this should be the end of the video. I hope you guys liked this what if. I mean, I did. I definitely liked the video, but I mean, it depends on you guys. And you guys hitting that red button down there. It says subscribe. And there's also gonna be a bell there. If you hit that, that'd be real nice of you. There's also this thumbs up button. I mean, if we can get that to 100 or 50 likes, I mean, I really wouldn't mind. I mean, you guys could do that. And also we have a Discord. So if you join that, I mean, I'm pretty happy, and we're looking for a new AMV artist, or just new AMV for this channel in general. So I mean, you can help me out while I help you out in some way or form, by giving you entertainment. But that doesn't matter. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later.